In the first episode of Frieren Season 2, 29 years after the passing of Himmel the hero, Frieren and her party find themselves traveling through the Somme marshes. Early one morning, Frieren and Stark prepare breakfast while Frieren unusually wanders the marsh at dawn. Frieren soon returns holding a large crystal, handing it to Stark, who admires its beauty. However, when Frieren attempts to cast fire magic to cook, she finds her spell completely fails. Frieren explains that the crystal has the power to nullify magic. To prove it, she has Stark move away with the crystal, allowing Frieren's magic to work again. Frieren reveals how incredibly valuable the crystal is, while even a tiny fragment could sell for gold. The massive one they found could buy an entire exotic mansion. Frieren immediately points out the danger of keeping such an item. With the crystal nearby, both she and Frieren would be unable to use magic, making any monster encounter extremely risky. She insists they discard it as soon as possible. Unbothered, Frieren smugly demonstrates another property of the crystal, its ability to store vast amounts of mana. When infused, it emits a blinding glow, impressing Stark but only further irritating Frieren, who once again demands it be thrown away. As the party continues toward the next village, Frieren notices that part of the marsh behind them is still glowing from the crystal's light. Stark asks if they are nearing the northern plateau, but Frieren explains that it lies far beyond a forest and a volcanic region. Though Stark worries about the volcano, Frieren reassures him that it hasn't erupted in centuries and is now a peaceful hot spring area. Before they can continue, the ground suddenly collapses beneath them. Frieren and Frieren attempt to slow their fall using flying magic, but the spell fails due to the crystal's influence. They crash down, landing squarely on Stark's back. As they recover, Frieren observes that the cavern they've fallen into is composed entirely of magic-nullifying crystal ore, an unprecedented deposit. Stark excitedly suggests they could become rich, but Frieren explains that the crystals are the hardest substance in existence and cannot be cut, refined, or used by human technology or magic. With no clear exit, the party presses onward. Frieren encourages Stark, reminding him that they'll be relying on his strength now that magic is useless. As they explore deeper, they set up camp near a body of water. Frieren quietly confides her fear to Stark, explaining how unsettling it feels to sense no mana at all, like being surrounded by darkness, while Frieren sleeps peacefully, unfazed. Their conversation is cut short when a massive dragon rises from the water. Stark reacts instantly, grabbing Frieren and defending against the attack. Upon waking, Frieren identifies the creature as a venomous apex dragon, an opponent far beyond Stark's ability to defeat. Stark panics, questioning why Frieren had been so calm earlier. Frieren simply states that she entrusted her life to him the moment he joined the party, because trust is what holds a party together. Stark admits that he sees himself as a coward who always wants to run, especially now. Smiling gently, Frieren suggests that they run together. She instructs Stark to close his eyes and throws a mana-infused crystal fragment, blinding the dragon and creating an opening to escape. This moment reminds Frieren of her time with the hero party. She recalls Eisen questioning how Himmel could trust him despite his past, and Himmel responding that when one member feels like running, they all run together, because that's what a party does. In the past, they fled from a dragon the same way, with everyone carrying one another. In the present, Stark mirrors that legacy by running with both Frieren and Frieren on his back. After finally escaping the cavern, Frieren reflects that even though it was terrifying, running away together wasn't so bad. Stark agrees, just before admitting that his legs have completely given out, leaving him unable to walk. 29 years after the passing of the hero Himmel, Frieren's party finds itself traveling through the Great Sand Forest. Stark returns to their campsite carrying a basket of ingredients for lunch, wondering if what he gathered will be good enough. When he notices that Frieren and Frieren are nowhere to be found, he assumes he arrived earlier than expected. Deciding to make himself useful, Stark heads off to catch fish, confident he can bring back a sizable haul. Elsewhere, Frieren and Frieren sit quietly beside a river, with Frieren gently washing Frieren's hair. As Frieren carefully cleans a bracelet, Frieren recognizes it as the mirrored lotus bracelet Stark gave her. Frieren mentions, with a small smile, that she also cleaned the hair ornament Frieren gifted her. Frieren notices how genuinely happy Frieren looks while caring for her belongings, and Frieren admits that she treasures gifts deeply, especially after losing everything, including her hometown, to war. Frieren reassures her that choosing the ornament hadn't been pointless, though she finds it surprising that Frieren understood her intentions so well. Their quiet moment is interrupted when Stark suddenly appears, causing Frieren to immediately label him a pervert. After they finish dressing, Frieren ties Frieren's hair while Stark kneels down and apologizes, explaining that he had no idea they were bathing. Frieren calmly says she isn't particularly angry, but as the journey continues, the atmosphere remains awkward. Frieren goes quiet, and Stark becomes noticeably gloomy. Frieren bluntly comments on the tension, surprising Stark with her perceptiveness. She even suggests that Frieren and Stark might be a bad match due to how tense things can feel, though Stark disagrees. Frieren reminds him that she was the one who forced him into the party and tells him to speak up if he ever feels uncomfortable. Before Stark can answer, they arrive at a fork in the road leading either to the northern plateau or the neutral harbor. An inn sits right at the crossroads, and the party decides to stop inside. There, they unexpectedly reunite with Wirbel, Scharf, and the hare. Wirbel greets Frieren and warmly thanks Stark again for his help against the Fresser lion boar. He explains that he's returning by sea because demons in the northern frontier have begun going berserk once more. Until reaching the port town near the imperial capital, he'll be traveling with Scharf and the hare. Wirbel then brings up a proposal he previously made to Stark. Curious, Frieren asks him to explain. Wirbel reveals that the war in the north is going poorly due to a lack of manpower and asks Stark to join him for 2 or 3 years until the front stabilizes. He stresses that the choice is entirely Stark's. Stark responds that he is already the vanguard of Frieren's party. Still, Wirbel refuses to give up, saying he's willing to do anything to protect the north. He asks Frieren for permission to keep trying to convince Stark, and she agrees before Frieren can object. As Stark talks with Wirbel's group, Frieren observes that he seems genuinely happy, making her wonder if their party has been too strict with him. Later that night, Stark stands alone on the inn's veranda when Frieren approaches him. He reassures her that he already turned down Wirbel's offer. Frieren questions whether he's truly confident in that decision, and Stark firmly says he is. He reflects on how lost he was before meeting Frieren and Frieren, admitting that he had been running away from everything. Stark believes joining the party wasn't something Frieren forced on him, but something he chose after Frieren gave him the courage to move forward. He tells Frieren that although she may not realize it, Frieren isn't the only one who led him this far, and that he isn't going anywhere. The following day, Wirbel, Scharf, and a hare bid farewell to Frieren's party as they head in different directions. Wirbel admits his disappointment at failing to recruit Stark but brushes it off, confident that Frieren's party will eventually visit the northern frontier. With a gentle smile, Frieren tells Stark and Frieren that it's time for them to continue their journey. And that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.